Hey everybody, Thrifty Teresa here. Thanks for tuning in again to another Etsy seller interview. I'm super excited to have a guest with me today who is a vintage Etsy seller. She also makes videos on YouTube, so you're probably already familiar with her, but we can always learn from one another, which is why I wanted her on my show. So today we have Karen Lebo, who has VintageDazzle on Etsy. She is on YouTube and has her Diggin' with Dirty Girl videos. They're great. She has a ton of knowledge, and I'm super happy to talk to her. Thank you so much for joining me, Karen.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm excited too. I've been looking forward to it all week. So tell us a little about yourself. Where do you live?
I live in Long Beach, California, which is near LA. And I am a full-time Etsy reseller now. I am recently retired from being a romance novelist. So it's quite a different world.
Pretty. I can only imagine you and Planet Alyssa must have some things in common because she's also an author.
I know.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It seems that the reselling community in general is filled with people who have all these wonderful, creative, alternative jobs that aren't necessarily a 9-to-5. At least I've noticed quite a few very artistic and creative people who are now selling online.
Well, I definitely don't have the personality to be a 9-to-5, time clock person. I just can't do it. I was never good at it. So I'm always looking for different ways to make money and, to get the bills paid while I'm having fun. So, but that's the important thing, is that I do something that I really enjoy.
Absolutely. That is one of the things that I hear the most from so many people that I talk to, or so many people, videos that I watch, or people in Facebook groups, and especially the Etsy community, which was really founded on creativity, specifically with handmade stuff. But we're not always that creative. So we
That's
can always
how I got into
appreciate the beauty of it, though. Yeah, tell us how you started Etsy. When did you find it, and how did you start?
I think I joined around, I think it was around 2007, my first shop. So it was a long time ago. And I sold handmade little notebook necklaces that were, hand-beaded necklaces, and they had, a little decorative pin. And it just, because I was so forgetful that I put a notebook around my neck so that I could write things down on the spot. Now people have their phones. There's not really that much of a demand for them anymore. So I've gotten out of that business. And I listed a few vintage things in that shop and found out they sold much better than my handmade. So I eventually dedicated a shop just to vintage.
So. Oh, that's fantastic. I had no idea you had a background on Etsy of being a handmade seller, because I did too. Mm-hmm. But that was a long time ago. Very cool. Very cool. I made handmade rosaries. And I also branched out. Yeah, I also branched out to other sort of gifts of a Catholic nature that had holy medals and saints and, prayer beads and all this stuff. So that's what I was doing for a few years. And it was fun, but I got tired of it, and then I took a long hiatus, and then I started reselling.
Yeah, it's different.
So when did VintageDazzle open your vintage shop?
I think it was 2009. Yeah, I think it was 2009. And
so you've seen a lot of changes then over the years. Etsy keeps changing and morphing and everything, and you've stuck with it.
Yeah, it's gotten really big. It's just so huge now, and it's a lot different. It's not as cozy feeling as it used to be, but I still really like it. I still feel like it's a more personal buying and selling experience than I have on eBay, which I also do.
about the personal experience, knowing that you're buying from somebody who, you know, handpicked this product and actually cares about it enough to package it
Right.
well and ship it to you, things like that. That makes a big difference. And I think that is really reflected in the fact that a lot of times we can sell things on Etsy at a higher price because people value the item more, as opposed to they're just looking for a steal.
Right. I think that's absolutely true.
So you've been very successful with your Etsy shop over the last few years. Have you seen a growth as Etsy has been growing?
I'm not sure. I've definitely grown in the last couple of years, but I'm not sure why. If it's more that I've been putting more into it, or that Etsy is promoting more, or I don't know. It might be a combination of the two. But yeah, the more I've put into it, the more I've gotten out of it. So
That's definitely the way it works. in in theory, you know, in order to keep relevant in the search results and stuff, you need to be active on Etsy. You need to be listing or relisting and things like that. So
mhm.
yeah, it definitely takes effort. I think Etsy is one of those places that does demand that effort from you. You can't just set it and forget it and walk away. You know,
Right.
you need to be a shop owner. You need
Hmm.
to take care of your store.
Yeah, I spend a
So on
lot of time. Oh,
average,
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, you please go ahead.
I was going to say, I spend a lot of time on each listing on Etsy as compared to eBay. I think it's just, I spend more time researching and describing and, you know, being really, really complete in the listing on Etsy, more so than I do on eBay, I think, because that's what the buyers want to see.
And that attention to detail is going to pay off, you know, for you. People are going to see your store, see that you're knowledgeable about the items that you're selling, and feel confident buying from you. So that it behooves you to put in that effort. So kudos.
Thank you.
Uh,
I hope you're right.
well, it's something that I'm striving for. I'm trying as hard as I can to make my listings detailed and correct and in the right categories and things like that. And it can make a difference. I think it can. So how many sales on average in a normal week would you get on Etsy?
Um, I think about my average is probably about 3 sales a day, something like that. And of course, it varies a huge amount. Over the holidays, like in December, I was getting 5 and 6 and 7 sales a day, which was so nice. And you know, then sometimes I'll go 2 or 3 days without a sale, which is, you know, but yeah, it's somewhere around there, I think.
That's fantastic. I'm currently in a slump. I did really well in my first half of the month, and then now I've had several days in a row without any nibbles. But I'm still listing. You got to keep with
Yeah,
it. So
yeah. It's been real up and down the last few weeks. Real, you know, I'll think, okay, yeah, now I'm on a roll now, and then all of a sudden, nothing. So I don't know what's going on, but like you said, I just keep going.
that's fantastic. Now, do you have any help with your selling business? Sourcing help or shipping help or listing help?
Well, my husband is super supportive of anything I want to do, but he doesn't actually do any of the work. But he's like my cheerleader, and he's wonderful. And then my mother-in-law does a lot of sourcing for me, but she just likes to shop because she used to have an antique store herself, and she misses the shopping. So she just gives me stuff. And it's, you know, it's not like I'm directing her. She buys things that she likes and then she just gives them to me. So, and she's not doing as much of that now as she was. She's kind of given me most of her stock. So, but that's pretty much it. I don't have any employees or, you know, anybody actually working for me.
Do you give your mother-in-law any sort of percentage or anything for the items
She,
that she gives you?
no, she won't take it. I have
Oh,
offered. I offered several times, and she's like, no, 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 no. I just do this because it's fun for me. So, and she does, most of the things she gets pretty inexpensively. So,
yeah. Well, that's wonderful because it's giving her something to do. It's fun for her, and it benefits you, and it's a way that she can show her support to you. So
yeah,
that's
it's a
beautiful.
wonderful thing to have that in common with my mother-in-law. We always have something to talk about.
That's great. You've got a wide variety of items in your shop. What would you say would be like your bread and butter products, things that sell on a regular basis?
Um, Jewelry, costume jewelry, and sterling silver jewelry. That's probably what I have the most of. And I have a real wide, like you said, a wide variety of, things from $10 items all the way up to, items that are more than $100. So, uh, but that, yeah, mostly jewelry, I'd say more than half jewelry.
You are very knowledgeable in the subject of jewelry, and you seem really knowledgeable in antiques in general. You, when I
Mhm.
watch your YouTube videos, you use a lot of words in your descriptions of the items, things that I wouldn't even think about, like calling something primitive. For example,
Mm.
is a keyword I hear you
Mhm.
use, and I see it in your listings very often. And I'm just I learned so much from you.
Oh,
Do you have
thank
any
you.
idea where you picked up all of this knowledge over the years?
Oh, I probably sound like I know more than I do, because I love to research. It is one of my favorite things. So I usually have researched something ad nauseum before I make the video. So it sounds like, oh, I just picked this up because I knew what it was. It was so great. But really, I liked what it looked like, and then I spent 2 hours figuring out what it was, and then that kind of thing. So I'm learning as I go, and the jewelry, I think it's just because I love costume jewelry so much, and I think when you're really passionate about something, it's easy to learn about it because I'm just ravenous for information about it. So
That makes a lot of sense. And that again is another kudos to you that you're taking the time to educate yourself. I love your shop. I love
oh,
Angie
thank
Martin's
you.
shop because of
Mm,
all of the beautiful sparkly objects. I don't wear a lot of jewelry, but I'm definitely got that magpie eye
yeah.
where I see something and it's so pretty and I love it. But I've stopped myself from sourcing for jewelry and things like that because I simply don't have the knowledge and I'm not confident that I would put in enough effort to research
Mhm.
it. So the fact that you do, it helps you with your pricing. It helps you when if you can figure out how old a piece is or where
Mhm.
it might have been made, if it's not necessarily signed. All of this knowledge that you've accumulated over the years is definitely something that has helped your success, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but there's also been, a lot of failures. Like when I, pick up something thinking it's old and then I start doing the research on it and I'm like, oh my gosh, like way back in the day, I didn't know that 1928 brand jewelry was really new, like from the 90s. And they make beautiful jewelry, and I can still sell a lot of it as vintage. But I would buy some not realizing it wasn't true 1930s jewelry because they did such an exquisite job. But so I did that kind of thing a lot, and I still do. I still buy things that I don't know what it is. It looks cool, and then I start researching it. I'm like, oh, this maker's not even vintage. So um,
Oh, what a
sometimes
shame.
I
And
don't
there's so
admit
many
to those.
reproductions out there.
There are. You don't see those.
Well, that's okay.
Sometimes I
That's
shuffle those
okay.
off to eBay and don't talk about them.
Do you cross list your Etsy items onto eBay?
Not at the same time. A lot of times I will start things on eBay because I don't know what it's worth, and I will just to see if it takes off, and I'll leave it up there maybe 2-3 weeks, and if it's not getting a lot of attention, then I'll move it over to Etsy. If I do them at the same time, I'm afraid that I'll forget. And then I'll have something on Etsy that's already sold on eBay, and I'll sell it twice, and then I'll have to tell somebody, I don't want to do that. But it's just because I'm absent-minded.
No, that makes sense, though, because you're saying that you get multiple sales per day. So rather than somebody like me that might get only a few sales a week, it would be harder for you to keep track of your inventory if you're, have it here, there, and everywhere. It's one of the reasons I stopped using Bonanza. Do you use Bonanza?
No, I don't.
I was using it for a brief period of time, and I actually had a situation where I had to cancel a Bonanza transaction because it didn't remove the item, and I thought that it would, and it didn't. So yeah, so something got sold twice, but it was something small and stupid, so I just had to cancel it. But I got fed up with that, so I'm not a cross poster either. But that's a neat idea that you are using eBay for a little bit of research on an item that you might be unsure about.
Definitely.
Cool. So besides jewelry, what other kind of stuff do you have in your shop?
Well, I have a lot of art glass. I absolutely love glass, and I'm not afraid to ship it. I buy bubble wrap by the truckload, and I have learned how to pack glass where it normally gets where it's going in one piece unless a truck runs over it or something. So I love that niche because I think it's so pretty, and I love paperweights and just any kind of art glass. And I like the primitives, old wooden kitchen things. I gravitate toward those. Silk scarves, I love. Old tablecloths and linens, I do a lot of those. Although those are so much trouble, but I love them. There's so much, because you have to wash them and press them, and they're hard to photograph. Easy to mail, hard to photograph.
That kind of trouble, I understand. Wow. I was wondering, it's like, how much trouble is a handkerchief?
A handkerchief's not bad, but like a tablecloth. And I don't even have a big table, so it's kind of hard to display. But I do love them. So you can pick them up really cheap at estate sales. Sometimes you can pick up a really nice Irish linen tablecloth for $5 or something and sell it for $75 or $100. So I can't resist it sometimes.
We all have those things we can't resist.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else it's just a mishmash what I have. Just a lot of weird stuff. This, that's what people always say. It's like, you find the weirdest things. And it's like, I do. And if I see something and I like it, I just buy it. So.
Yeah, but they're so cool, these weird things. And you've taken the time to research them and show them to us. And, and they sell. Weird stuff sells.
Only sometimes.
You need to, if you haven't already, maybe that should be my next question. Do you have a video on how to ship delicate glass?
No, I haven't. So far I've only done haul videos and sales report videos. I haven't branched out into any of the how-tos, but basically you just bubble wrap the crud out of it. I mean, just when you think it's enough, put another layer and get the big bubble wrap, the big, like the 1-inch bubbles. And sometimes if something is like really delicate, I will put it in 2 boxes. So I'll bubble wrap it, put it in a box, bubble wrap that, and put it in another box. So that's pretty much all there is to it.
Well, that's
don't put it in a box. Yeah, never put it in a box that's like snug. You really want space around it. And I put a lot of times, once the bubble wrap is in there, I put crumpled newspaper around the edge. So I really a lot of cushioning.
Well, if you're ever feeling like generous and you want to make a YouTube video, I think that would be something that I would be interested in, is to see your process. I think the method that you're explaining sounds familiar, where they call that floating, where you take a smaller box that has your item in it, you stick it in a larger box, and make sure that that little box in the middle of the big box doesn't move.
Right.
By floating it like a
Yes.
like a precious little bubble. So
yes, that's definitely the way it works.
yeah, glassware is one of those other danger zone items for me. Is I don't really think I have the space to store glassware, and then I'm absolutely terrified to ship it. So good on you that you can do it.
Well, you can see behind me, my office is just a complete disaster. I don't have a lot of storage space, but I just keep going up. And if we ever have a bad earthquake, I'm in so much trouble.
Yeah, you in California, me
Yeah.
in Seattle, we're prone to the little earthquakes. So
Yeah.
we'll have to keep our fingers crossed that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So you mentioned estate sales. Besides that, where do you do most of your sourcing?
I mostly these days go to the flea market. I really like it because it's I can do it all in one day. I can fill up my car with stuff all in one day and have enough stuff to list for the month if I am lucky. I usually go to 2 flea markets a month, and I do some garage sailing, some thrift stores, some estate sales, but the flea markets is definitely the majority, and the stuff that comes from my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Although, like I say, that's tapering off.
Yeah. You mentioned in some of your videos, it sounds like you buy from a lot of the same sellers that are familiar with you, that give you some good deals. Have you made a lot of relationships with the folks at the flea market?
Yeah, there's quite a few sellers that I look for every month, and they see me coming and they're like, "Oh, God, there's that really cheap woman." But once you get used to working with somebody, you kind of know, like you know what kind of deal they're going to give you, and you get familiar with how to get your best price from that person. And then there's a couple of dealers, like the last few times they haven't been there, and I'm just crushed because there's this one guy I used to get he did estate cleanouts, and he had the best stuff, and he would sell it for so cheap, and he hasn't been there. So sad.
Oh, bummer. Well, hopefully he comes back and it's just a little vacation or hiatus.
I hope.
Yeah. So do you have any goals for your shop now that you are a full-time seller? Do you hold yourself up to any standard of listing a certain number of items a day, or you want to sell a certain number of items per month?
Well, my goal is listing 4 items a day, which I wish it was more, but it seems to take, some days I'm able to do more, but usually not. And I figure if I can, list $75 worth of stuff in one day, then that should be my goal, is to sell that much every day. And over the holidays which was really nice. Now, it's tapered off, or taken a nosedive, shall we say. But yeah, that's my goal, is to get back up to that holiday speed of selling. That was really great. I don't know, I think I kind of take it one day at a time, because you can't make it happen. You can only do what you can do, and then luck and the economy and whatever plays out, and you just kind of have to take it. So I try not to get too caught up in whether I've made a certain goal or not, because I don't want to get depressed about it. My main goal is to have fun and be able to pay my bills. So
that's good. Fun is essential. If it wasn't
yes.
fun, you don't need to be doing it.
No, that's exactly right.
Which I think that's what a lot of people think who want to be full-time. I mean, I have a full-time regular job. I'm an underpaid phone monkey. I work in a call center in a cubicle all day. And, that is not fun, but that is what pays the bills because it's essential. My selling business is fun and I like it. and I enjoy it. And I think a lot of people get sucked into that idea of like, oh, this is always going to be fun. It's always going to be unique, and I can make money. So I think a lot of people have the goal to go full time. And that's wonderful that you are able to be full time now. But sometimes it can be hard and it could not be fun anymore.
That's absolutely true. I think it makes me think of writing when, I used to have a full-time job and writing was my, oh, I just couldn't wait to get home and write. And then when I was able to quit my job and write full-time, then that became the full-time job. And I had to learn to turn it off so that I could relax, because otherwise I was doing it 24 hours a day and it was drudgery.
Wow.
So, and it did get to a point where it really wasn't fun anymore. I had kind of said everything I needed to say. So, yeah, now this is fun and I'll do it as long as I'm having fun. But if it starts to feel like I'm forcing myself, then I will do something else, because life's short.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And that's one of the reasons that I stopped being a handmade seller, even though I felt I had a fairly successful business with the handmade items, because besides selling on Etsy, I was doing a lot of craft fairs. I was selling at church bazaars and things like that. And it stopped being fun because it became too much of a business.
Yeah.
It stopped being a hobby and it turned into, it was a lot of work. And yeah, so I had to take a break from that. But I'm glad I'm back in this different way. And I am having a lot of fun, and I hope it stays that way.
Yeah, I can, from watching your videos, I can tell that you enjoy it. So that's, one of the criteria I use in watching people is whether they're having fun or, there's some resellers that do nothing but bitch.
Yeah,
like,
some folks.
Negative. And I'm like, I don't really need to be watching this. So I only watch the people that have fun and make me laugh and enjoy themselves, because I don't want to watch miserable people.
Yeah. So besides having fun and keeping up with your listing, do you have any other tips for Etsy success, especially since you've been on Etsy for so many years?
Well, I think, and I know a lot of the other people have said this, but if you try to copy somebody else's success, it usually doesn't work. Like, you try to sell the same things somebody else does.
Yeah.
I have made all kinds of forays into weird stuff, snapback hats, coffee mugs, like cassette tapes and flash cubes, and it just never works for me because I don't love those things. Well, I kind of like coffee mugs, but I don't. I'm not crazy about them, and I have found that if I just stick to the things that I love and that I'm passionate about, I do a better job picking, because if something appeals to me, it's going to appeal to somebody else, and yeah. So I think that you have to kind of find your own niche and sell the things that you love dealing with, rather than just things you think might sell. And I think it's also a good idea to branch out. Don't get in a rut, and try different things if they appeal to you. I never would have known about knife sharpening stones or pocket knives. That's another thing I do, is pocket knives. If I hadn't just seen this thing at an estate sale in a garage and thought, oh, this is kind of cool. It's in a wooden box, and it was like, this is old, I like this. And it turned out to be this super, super valuable sharpening stone. And I sold it for I forget, $150 or something. And I paid $1 for it at an estate sale. So it's like, and then now I look for them because I think they're neat. And then I did the same thing with pocket knives. It's like, I bought one at a garage sale because it was pretty, and it just took off and sold for, I don't know, $80 or something. And I went, oh, okay. And I like knives. So I started looking for them, and that became, one of my good income streams. So you got to try new things, I think.
Absolutely. I love seeing the different items you pick up, and the pocket knives is always the one thing that always stuck out in my mind, that you sell those, and I don't want to sound strange, but you're a female, and that is stereotypically a male item.
Yeah.
So I thought that was awesome. It's like, oh, and she knows all this cool stuff about him, and we now know that you love research. So you find things that you like, things that you're willing to look into and research, and you've made great success on that. I was wondering if the pocket knives came from your hobby of metal detecting.
No, I don't know if I've ever even found a pocket knife metal detecting.
I like the little intros in your video showing you doing the metal detecting and showing kids things that you found. That's obviously where you got your nickname of the Digging with Dirty Girl. How long have you been doing that?
Oh gosh, I've been metal detecting for, I don't even know, 15 years maybe, but I haven't done it lately. I've gotten away from it. But those are the first videos I made were metal detecting videos. That's why my intro is geared that way.
No, it's cool. I like it.
But that's how I discovered haul videos, because I was watching the metal detecting haul videos, and then the reseller haul videos started popping up, and I was like, oh, what's this? And then I was like, oh, I buy vintage stuff. I could do vintage haul videos. So that's kind of how that happened.
Have you sold things that you found through your metal detecting?
Just a few pieces of jewelry I have. A lot of times it's jewelry that I find is in too bad a shape. You know, the rings are all smushed and things are all corroded and the stones are all gone, and, you know, so yeah, only a very few things.
But that sounds like such a fun hobby. That's
is
just another neat thing about you. You know, it's like, oh, I metal detect, I do a little writing, I do a little selling of antiques and stuff. So
oh, I'm just weird.
Great.
I just have very weird interests. What can I say?
Weirdos are my people, so I connect with you on that.
Yay!
Yay, weirdos! So let's see. So your hobbies. Do you have other hobbies besides reselling or metal detecting or writing? What do you do in your spare time?
Many interests. Bird watching, bicycling. I guess that's about it. Those are the main ones.
Well, it sounds good, though. Keeps you active out in nature. You probably have some beautiful land down there where you live.
Yeah, the weather is one of the reasons I moved to California. Is the weather is so nice. It's, you know, year round you can get out and do things. So, yeah.
That's very good. So you do make your YouTube videos. You have your haul videos and your sales videos. Those are always very fun and interesting. Do you use any other things, Facebook groups or apps or anything?
Not too much. No, not really. Every time it seems like every time I try something, I get sucked in for a while, and then it starts taking too much time. And then I'm like, oh, got to pull back. And I'm the same way with the Etsy teams. I'm only active on one team now because they just, you know, I would just get addicted to them, and then I'd just be spending too much time. So the one team that I'm still on is We Love Vintage, which is a real laid-back vintage team. It's like there's no requirements. You just show up if you want to. You can list and run anytime you want. You know, they're just like really cool, welcoming people. So I love that team. But yeah, I really, other than, you know, I have my eBay app on my phone to look things up when I'm out sourcing. I don't use too many other things.
Well, that's okay. Tell us the name of that team again, because I'm interested.
It's We Love Vintage.
We Love Vintage. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm only on a couple vintage teams, and I was gonna do a team sort of video the other day, but then Margaret did one like on the same day that I was thinking about it. She had already uploaded it. It's like, oh, good, now I don't have to do it.
Yeah, she does all those challenges and stuff, and I have done those in the past, but they tend to be counterproductive for me because I lose my focus and I'm focusing on something that maybe is not that important or doesn't really help me. I don't know. So,
well, and sometimes those things can be a distraction
mhm.
from actually being productive. So
Right.
sometimes if I'm watching too many YouTube videos, or if I'm participating in too many Facebook groups, or get too involved in an Etsy team, then that's time that I'm wasting that I could be listing or making better photos,
Right.
or fixing my titles and tags with my search engine optimization. There's always something that can be done instead of just watching another haul video. But I love haul videos, I
I
can't
do
help
too.
it.
I say them, I have my little tablet and I spend just a few minutes every night lying in bed watching haul videos. It's kind of my relaxation at the end of the day. So I just, yeah, I
Well,
love it. But I mean, they're also, I justify it because I learn so much from them. So
absolutely. And God bless the people that are watching my videos, because this is a huge waste of time on your part. But it's so much fun for me to make them. And especially with these interviews, getting to talk to the people that I admire so much is so much fun for me. So Karen, did you have things you wanted to show us? Any cool or unusual things you picked up
sure,
recently?
sure. I am wearing one of them. I don't know if you can see it, but it's
Yeah.
a polished mineral necklace that it's not really that old. It's probably from the 80s. But I just fell in love with it. And that is in my shop for, I forget how much. Let's see. I wrote these down somewhere. $28. And then I have this Native American basket, which I love the color of it. It's so colorful. And it turns out when you look inside, it's purple. The outside has faded to red,
Oh, how
but it was
neat.
originally purple. So that's how I know it's a nice old basket. And the woman who sold it to me said it was from the 1940s. And I paid very little for it. I was amazed. So, and that is $32 in my shop. And this is a Victorian or perhaps early 20th century lacquer box that's like a little pencil box. And it's got the little painted roses on it. And
Wow.
I love this kind of stuff, like old trinket boxes. That's another area that I just am crazy about is boxes. I buy not just lacquer ones, but wooden ones and metal ones and porcelain ones. And I love boxes. So that I really like that one. And that one is,
Everybody needs boxes to put all their little treasures and trinkets in.
yes,
So boxes are
absolutely.
essential to the trinket purchasing. Is have lots of boxes. So
Yes. And I have a lot that I don't sell because I use them. Okay. So I guess that's all the stuff I brought to show you.
Oh, that's wonderful. Those are beautiful. Well, I think that's pretty much all the questions I have. Oh, my last question I always like to ask is, besides being a seller on Etsy, do you also buy on Etsy? Is there anything that you collect and purchase online?
Um, I try not to spend all my profits. I tend to buy supplies on Etsy, jewelry supplies. Like I repair a lot of jewelry because, you buy broken jewelry for a really cheap price. And if it's an easy, just fixing a clasp or replacing a stone, it's something I can easily do. So I do buy a lot of supplies on Etsy.
That's great.
And I used to be a collector, but we downsized when we moved to California. We moved to a house half the size of our old house. And so a lot of my collections just had to go. That's, it's like, well, I enjoyed them for a while and now I'm passing them on to somebody else. But I did used to collect vintage purses and egg cups. So those were my two things. And I do still occasionally buy things on Etsy or eBay, but I try not to. I try to sell more than I spend because
That's good business.
Yeah. I think it's very, very easy to let all of your profits go back into buying more stuff for yourself to enjoy. So, yeah. So I'm not a big shopper these days of that kind of stuff.
That's quite all right. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for talking with me today. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I admire your shop so much. I love watching your videos, and I learn so much. One of these days, I'm going to try and take the plunge into maybe a little sparkly jewelry here and there, and you're definitely going to be one of my go-to people if I have a question on what is this?
But one thing about jewelry is it doesn't take up much space. And it's fairly easy to ship because it's lightweight. So, you know, that's a nice thing about it if you don't have a lot of inventory space.
Yeah, we love our smalls, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Everybody, I'm going to have Karen's YouTube channel and her Etsy shop linked down below so you can check her out. Please like and subscribe to her channel. She's a wonderful resource and an absolute pleasure. So thanks again, Karen.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.